Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode 5 of John's Cancer Experience, here at the Acme Movement channel. It's been a long time. I can pick up where I left off. This will probably have to be a 2-episode experience, because I've been through a lot. It's 7 months since I've been diagnosed. Actually, going on 8 months. In another 5 days or so, I will have gotten my diagnosis 8 months ago. Peripheral, I can't remember what the name of this cancer is right off the top of my head. I don't know. Anyways, it's a type of breast cancer. Attacks the lining of your organs. Mine happens to be on my lungs. It can get to your lungs. They can't do anything about it. If it's attacking a breast, they can, remove the breast and hope the cancer hadn't already spread. If it hadn't worked its way into the fluid of your lungs, I suppose most women stop it right there. But apparently, if it metastasizes and moves to the liquid in your lungs, it's pretty much going to spread throughout the rest of your organs. That's what they call it, metastasize, I think. I don't know if my pronunciation's right even. Oh, it's difficult, I'll tell you. Anyhow, we left off the last time, episode 4. My legs were in excruciating pain. I had a feeling it was something to do with the blood clot in my leg. Prior to finding the cancer, I had been discussing with my primary care doctor about revisiting my vascular surgeon, because I thought I was having problems with a stent that was in my leg. Had it put in 3 years prior. Well, they weren't making the appointments for me. I went and I made an appointment. Got a checkup. He checked out the stent and there was nothing wrong with it. Everything that he worked on was okay and sent me on my way. Well, then, this was just prior to starting chemo that I did that. And I had anticipated that he checked me over and I was, must be something else. I figured it was the cancer, So, on I go with the chemotherapy. I get the one treatment and my legs got a lot worse. And I start looking into it over the course of the next couple of days, and what I come up with was something called, gonna bash the pronunciation of this, but peripheral neuropathy. It affects parts of people's bodies, and sometimes chemotherapy treatments are widely recognized as having to do with the onset of this condition. So I'm figuring I got peripheral neuropathy, right? But there again, in the meantime, I find out from my primary care doctor that when I went to my vascular surgeon, he didn't do a full checkup. He just checked the work that he did on me. So I'm thinking I have this peripheral neuropathy. I go to my doctor. My doctor tells me I have to go back to my cancer doctor and the chemo people. And I'm thinking I had gone to my cancer doctor, and he didn't say anything about peripheral neuropathy, and he didn't think it had anything to do with the blood clot, or a blood clot. He didn't think it had anything to do with his treatment. So I had to go to my doctor. And I went to my doctor, and my doctor tells me that my visit to the vascular surgeon was just to check up on the stuff he worked on, and to get a referral from my cancer doctor to go see him again. But my cancer doctor won't give me a referral to my vascular surgeon. So I contact my doctor, and my doctor sets up a quick appointment with my vascular surgeon. I go to my vascular surgeon. Turns out I have a blood clot in my leg. Probably has something to do with the peripheral neuropathy in my legs, which he seemed to think I had. And being how it's, associated with the chemo treatment, I'm just figuring that's what it must be. So I quit chemo. I talked to my palliative care people. I'm not doing chemo anymore, and they want me to go on hospice. So I go on hospice. My new nurse shows up. We talk about everything. Tell her I have this peripheral neuropathy in my legs, yada yada. Want some painkillers. And I get some of the drugs that they gave me 2 days prior and a day after my chemo, which was like a steroid that you get prior and during chemo treatments. And I was on that, and I'm on Norcos trying to deal with this leg pain, and it just ain't jiving, And I finally asked her, I said, is there any kind of medication for peripheral neuropathy? And she says, well, yeah. And I says, well, how come it's been 2 weeks, almost a month now, Nobody's mentioned anything to me about it, So I went on that. And I went on that for a couple of weeks, and man, it tore me up. But I think it took care of the peripheral neuropathy, whereas nothing else would have. But I had just bad gut problems, and you already have a bad gut. I already had a bad gut because I found out I had a blood clot in my leg. Yeah, and that was how I found out I had blood clots in the first place, is I was having abdomen pain, stomach pain. So here I am. It's been a month or two since, so there I was. It had been about 2 months since my chemo. My legs went bad, and I'm now on hospice. I'm taking all these drugs, and my nurse shows up, and we go over everything, and one of my drugs I was going to run a day short on, right? And I told her that, and I assumed she would have ordered my medication, this, that, the other thing, and went on about it. Well, 2 days later, 6 o'clock in the morning rolls around, one of my medications is gone, and I don't have none to replace it. I don't even know when it's going to show up. And I thought I might have had some out in the bathroom in the cabin, and I jetted out my door, ran into my garbage can, broke a couple bones in my foot, landed on my knees, stood up, stumbled a couple of times, let my heel catch on the side of some pavement, and I slipped and fell over that, tore my heel from my bone on my heel bone a little bit. It's like a really terrible thing to happen. It's happened a few times in my life, and it sucks. It's easier for it to happen after the first time. You don't want nothing to do with that. So I got fucked up knees, and I got fucking couple broken bones in my foot. My foot's all tore up, and I went to put on a pair of jeans about 3 days later, and my toe drug along my jeans because I had like a club foot and put a great big jean burn on the side of my toe, and then my toenail grabbed on the end of the jean and pulled my toenail back off my toe a little bit. So now I got that fucking pain going on I was dealing with. And I'm fucking making my way along, right? And I'm finally getting everything, my toes, my legs, everything's healing up. I'm finally getting things squared away with the drugs. I quit taking all my drugs at one point to see how fucking terrible I felt. And then started taking them with the drugs that retaking the drugs that I thought were most effective. And figuring out how to take them, because I've never taken pills in my life, you know. And I'm finally getting my pain all worked out, and then they want to change my drugs. And then they don't want to change the drug, but they changed the type of drug they were giving me. It was not the type of drug, they changed the brand of the drug that they were giving me. And just that brand change fucked me up so fucking bad. I was on Norcos, and I'm taking like the smallest dose you can take. You know, one of the lowest dose you can take every 3 hours. And it was working fine for me. Started with the new stuff from a different manufacturer, and my guts are fucked up. Everything's fucked up. Can't take them. Can't get the other brand. They want to switch me to another drug called oxycodone. And I don't really want to be on oxycodone. You know, they give me liquid morphine to use occasionally when I have problems with my breathing, but I was hardly using it. Anyway, so I got these drugs that are fucking me up. I can't take them. I finally caved to the oxycodone, and I start taking that, you know, the lowest dose you can take every 4 hours. And then at 3 hours, I take a little bit of this liquid morphine under my tongue that they gave me. I do that for a while, you know, and then they want to switch me. Well, even prior to that, I hurt my foot again. I got a heater that rolls around on wheels. I got it too close to the end of my couch. One night, I pushed it away from the door and didn't think about it, laid down on the couch, fell asleep, woke up, stretched out, and put my toe into it. So now I got a burn on the toe that I was had all fucked up. I jumped up, kicked my ottoman right on the same toe I just burnt. And now I'm all fucked up there. Trying to figure out new medication. And it wasn't, you know, it didn't help as much. The oxycodone didn't help as much as the Norco did, you know. And I kept telling them that, and they told me that I should try taking a slow release morphine. And I tried that for about 5 days, and my guts were so fucked up, and I hated it. So I went back to just taking a pill every 4 hours, and that wasn't working out great. So I decided to take up my dose, because, you know, I'm taking the lowest dose you can possibly take once every 4 hours. I doubled the dose and started taking it every 3 hours, and things seemed to be pretty good. I just started that a couple weeks ago. Anyways, I'm thinking to myself, and this is only, you know, I'm all done telling the story about the drugs and my feet and how I got in the condition I'm in, yet that's just the beginning. The pill part of it's just the beginning of the story. Anyway, I still got my Plerex, you know, to tell you about. But anyway, so now I've been on these drugs, 2 pills every 2 pills every 4 hours. I didn't tighten up the timing, I just double the dose. And sometimes I'll get other pain, and I'll take an extra pill on top of it. Maybe once every other day that would happen. But then, all of a sudden, I get this shit happening in my foot where the ball of my foot is swelling up. And I'm thinking it's gout, because I used to get gout in my right foot, and my foot's healing up from all the bullshit that's happened to it over the past fucking 6-8 months. I figure, I probably got gout. Well, I start looking into it, and the first early signs of liver problems are with your feet, and there's all kinds of different things that can happen to it. But one thing that they referred to was the fact that you get a thing called peripheral neuropathy, which I just had going on throughout my whole legs and my feet and shit. And that part of my foot did hurt when I had peripheral neuropathy. Just the ball of your foot behind your toes, And so I was having serious problems with that for about a week. Well, I got to thinking about it, and I decided to take a Motrin, and I took a 600 milligram pill of Motrin, went to sleep, woke up, and I haven't had the problem since. So I don't know what the hell was going on with my foot. I mean, it still happens, but it's never reached the intensity it had before I took that ibuprofen. And I thought, well, hell, I went a day and didn't take any of that Motrin. I mean, not ibuprofen, but Motrin. And I thought, hell, that anti-inflammatory really kind of kicks butt, and I started taking it again today, and I think it's helping a little bit more than just what the oxycodines every 4 hours do, so. But I still can't get around very good. I always have problems with this draining fluid off my lungs. And since the last video I did, I've been going there every week, 10 days, 2 weeks, to get it to where it's unplugged and flowing properly again. Because I'll drain fluid off my lungs, I try and get 500 milliliters, but I never hit more than, say, I end up between, an average of 350. So what happens is my fluid will plug up, or the fluids will get honeycombed in my lungs to where they can't drain out, and I have to go to the hospital, and they put a solution into my lungs, and I kind of bounce around and keep that fluid moving around in my lungs for about an hour, and then we drain it out. And when we drain it out, it seems to drain properly again, it's not plugged up. So I go home, and every other day I'll drain. I'll try and get, whatever I can get before my lungs start hurting really bad, I have to stop. Well, it'll drain good. I'll get 350 milliliters every other day the first 2-3 times, and then it'll kind of start dissipating, and I'll feel like I'm getting down to where there's not as much fluid on my lungs. And then I'll drain good, through 100 milliliters, 200 milliliters, and then plug up and just start dripping, And that's when I go and I have it unplugged. But between times, I have fluid still building up on my lungs that I can't drain out because it's plugged up, or my lungs hurt and I have to stop draining, and there's more fluid on my lungs than I drained out. So that means eventually I'm getting some extra buildup in fluids, right? And it's making it hard to breathe. And I go to the hospital in Traverse City and get myself unplugged. But it's been kind of a fiasco, man. A lot of these people don't even know how or what to do. Never saw one of these bottles in their life. I'm in interventional radiology. One lady broke the cap off my freaking tube, and now I got a tube that won't receive a cap properly. And that was early on in this bull business, you know. And it's like, when I first started going in there, they'd x-ray me before and after I drained. And then after several times going in there, I noticed they were only doing it like before or after I drained. And then after a while, they're not x-raying me at all, you know. And I don't even know why they're x-raying me. But it's to the point where when I'm there, I don't feel like I'm draining all the fluid off me, right? And I've still got fluid on me and that solution within me. And I come home and I drain again because I start hurting and I can't drain it off, you know, because just too much pain, you know. It's like I guess your lungs reforming itself. It's just too painful. You gotta go like 5 or 6 hours before you can even attempt to do it again. But even then, you know, there's still fluid on my lungs that shouldn't be there. And we're talking, it can get up to like half-gallon of fluid on your lungs, you know. I mean, then that puts pressure on your stomach because it's a lot of weight. And just a lot of things happen, you know, when you get a lot of fluid on your lungs. Lose your appetite, food don't even taste as good. Just a lot of things, you know. And they were, you know, rather than making sure all the fluid was out of me or even let me know how much fluid's in me, I assume that's what they were doing with the x-ray, is checking how much fluids were in me. You know, they weren't telling me and they weren't informing me and they weren't doing a lot of shit. And finally I started asking them about it, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. And some will be like, that's a good idea. And then others will be like, oh, we don't need to do that, you know. And they're blowing me off, you know. It's like, I don't feel like I'm being cared for in the way that I properly should be, you know. I mean, it's kind of a fiasco. You know, you'll be in there draining, they'll be having fucking pizza parties down in the office, you know. I mean, it's just that kind of shit. And the people are real negative about being there, you know. They're only there because it's a job. They got to go to work, you know. One lady was in retirement, come out of retirement because she couldn't afford to be retired, you know. The other guy, he don't like being at work at all, you know, and so he's basically only doing his job half-assed. And, you know, I'm trying, and these people don't really know what they're doing. I'm trying to tell them things. This thing on my side, you know, you don't want it bulging out too much, you know. You try and keep it as flat as you can to your body. Well, one of these people don't understand that. They won't listen to me, and they'll, like, put a knot in it, and it'll be like a bulge coming out. Well, even that little bit, you know, will make it so my arm hits it and, you know, kind of displaces it. And this thing's in my lung, you know, through my skin and a hole in my lung. It's just little things. Anyhow, I'm sure they're all decent people. It's just the way society is. Everything's fucking half-assed. And I'll tell them that, too, you know. I mean, even my hospice nurse, you know, she's a great lady, you know, but she's not as quick as the whip. I'm assuming they're not going to put their best people for those that are closest to death, you know what I mean? Oh, man. Anyway, so I go through this whole driving to Traverse City every now and then. That has been kind of a bitch through the winter. Anyhow, so, but the upside is I'm sitting in the very same spot I taped video 4 in, episode 4, and now the house is finished. I've lived here 6 months or so. There's still things that need to be done. Chris has pretty much gone and done his winter thing, and April's rolling around and he's wanting me to, I did the drywall for the opportunity to stay here for 6 months, and I want to continue renting it. but he wants me to leave in April. I want to rent it for another 6 months and then go into hospice if I have to, you know. Or not if I have to, just go, or assisted living. But I want to live independently as long as I can. I offered him to rent it, and he doesn't want to rent it to me. He wants to turn it into an Airbnb. And I mean, whether or not he'll make any more money renting an Airbnb than he would renting it to me, I don't know. I looked it up online. Most of the houses this size in my area are only getting like $100 a night. And I'm offering him, $600 a month. Maybe more if the state will help subsidize it, but that's all I can really come off. It's just, throughout my life, people have given me shit about being an atheist, but throughout my whole entire life, every time I set people up to do the right thing, to do right by me, after I do right by them, I always get the shaft. It's like, and I do this intentionally to people that claim to be Christians too. Because I'm saying, well, I'm going to give these people the opportunity to do the Christian thing. What are they going to do? They're going to boot me out. Make me go through a bunch of bullshit for the next, 3 months or so, selling all this bullshit I just bought. Trying to scramble around and get enough money to go out on my own. After I just ended up spending a lot of my money on furniture and assets and things, and I figured I'd just give it to him. Yeah, that's another thing. I was going to give him, $500-600 a month, plus leave all my shit behind to him. Now I got to sell my shit. All my money's gone, and try and bail on out of here. Find an apartment where there is no apartments, so I'm going to end up living in my truck. Because I will not go to assisted living until I absolutely, positively have to. And I'm just not there yet, So, anyway, that's where I'm at with my whole cancer experience. I got a lot of shit to do. I got a lot of things to sell. If anybody needs anything, contact me. We'll see if I got what you want. I got drywall tools I'm trying to sell. I got a 2008 Jeep. It's got like 120-some thousand miles on it for sale. It's in immaculate shape. Bed, a recliner, kitchen table, maybe some kitchen appliances. I'm an old fifth wheel. I got a couple cats I need to get rid of, and then I got a fifth wheel they were living in to get rid of. Just a bunch of shit, Anything I can sell, I'm selling. So, that's it. Have a good evening. Remember to watch We the People show at the Acme Movement channel. It's how I believe we can all save the world. But I'm dying now, and I can't really do anything more. You'll have to take it from here. See ya.